Alright, here's how our glue up ended up. At the conclusion of our last session, I'm going to go ahead and get this guy unwrapped and see what we've got here. Oh, the recurve held really well. That's very encouraging. This side too. Looks really good. All right. Wow, I did end up just ahead of the grip with those tips. And you can see that we got a little bit of a reverse tiller in these limbs. And all of that time and effort in trying to keep everything all lined up in the glue up paid off. The glue up seems to have gone pretty well. I got pretty clean glue lines, at least from what I can see through the messy epoxy out here on the edge. And we'll know more once we sand all of this down. At this point, we're going to go ahead and put on the actual riser piece. And I got her all cleaned up, you guys. The glue up really seemed to go together very well. Like, we've got good glue lines all through the riser section of this bow. But I'm really pleased with the way that it came out. And then the glue lines through the limbs, this would be probably the biggest gap right here on this one recurve. Wow. This one's got a similar type, just a little bit of a gap right here, but nothing major. So we should be able to navigate that without too much trouble. Here's the problem. I got crack right. You can just kind of see the depth of the crack right there. Just right there on the outer surface, but deep enough, you know, to be of concern. And then, just to compound that one, why not go 2 for 1? I mean, when we're dealing so much with trying to keep things symmetrical, why wouldn't we crack on both of them in about the same spot? Now, the question is, how badly is this going to affect tiller? And the answer to that question is, I don't think it's going to affect it that much, right? So we can do some cosmetic work here when the bow is finished to fill that crack, you know, with like some sawdust and some glue or something. See if we can't at least make the appearance of it disappear. But I guess the question is going to be, can we get this bow tillered with these cracks present? So I'm going to get a little longer view here what we're dealing with. The bend in these limbs is going to be all right here. Like, this section is intended to be static, right? And where the crack is really at the end of what would be any kind of working portion of these limbs. Like, if you were to take and consider this just the working limb here to here, this would be like the tip. This would be like the tip of the bow that we're working on, and it's right at the tip. I don't think it's going to affect tiller very much. But guys, I don't know, and that's why we go through the exercise of tillering out the bow. There's nothing that these bear goggles can do help me ignore that. And I cannot bring myself to keep moving forward with the way these cracks on both of these limb tips are just staring at me every time. And I feel like it's getting a little, like the compression is actually pushing it together and then opening it up as a result. And just not going to move forward like that. What I am going to do, however, is I've got a very thin extra piece of hickory here, nice long one. I am going to go ahead and glue on a reinforcement just like this. And we'll taper down the leading edge here so that it'll cover up that mess and hopefully kind of arrest it. If nothing else, I won't be staring at it when I'm putting things together. I'm gonna apply that with EA40, so I put another day between me and the work on this bow, which is unfortunate, but this is just killing me right here. I blue taped off the belly of the bow here on both ends, so it looks exactly the same on both ends. And this is how this glue up is going to work. Going to get it, I'll have some plastic down. We'll get glued up here at the tip. Pull it down here so that we don't have any gaps that we're working with against the plastic, because the plastic can get down into the joint. We don't want that. And then from here, we'll wrap it with inner tube to get a real nice tight glue fit on there, a nice glue line. Here's how that glue up ended up. So everything went together really pretty well. Dry fit the parts, practiced the glue up a couple times, and made sure that I got a really good glue up going on there. So let's see how our repair came out here. Well, from what I can see here, looks like the glue up went really well. Right up to this part. Here we go. So, tried to have everything down flat, and what it did was tented the piece of wood, so it went up like this. I've got a void right here. I don't know if you can see that. That's going to be a problem for me for sure. Dang it. I guess we'll see if it happened on the other side. There's no nice way to say this other than this completely blows. This right here, a freaking disaster. So when I was gluing this together, I wrapped it with rubber bands, big inner tube rubber bands. And in the process, since the overlay piece was wider than the main limb, it like tented it. You know, like when you wrap it, you get pressure coming to bear on the edges, and it popped the center here, and the wraps didn't hold tight on the horizontal surface, or the flat surface, I guess. And it resulted in basically a bubble. And you'll see that when I put my pick in here, it goes a long ways in there. I put a line in here at the depth. So here's how deep that void goes. Now my crack, kind of hard to see, but the crack that I'm trying to cover up is right here. So I'm past the crack, not by a ton, but enough. And as unsightly as this is, it's not going to have any impact on tillering this bow. So for the time being, I'm just going to leave it alone. Right now, it's going to just be a aesthetic thing. It's just not going to look right. As a matter of fact, it's going to look downright stupid. But provided I can get this thing tillered, and that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to get it tillered, and then if all that works out, I'll probably come back and grind this back to solid wood and just make it look a lot better from that perspective. Yeah, guys, I can't just let these things hang out here like this while I work on the rest of the bow. There's something inside me that just will not allow that to happen. I think it's that I just want to make sure that I can in fact deal with the repair of this problem before I get too far on this bow. And let's say that everything works out great and then I end up ruining it because I'm trying to fix this damage that has occurred. That's what I want to avoid. So with that in mind, I'm going to attempt a repair here. I should be able to run like a flush cut saw and just continue straight along the way and finish out flat and take that right off and have a transition right here at the pencil line. If nothing else, I can just stop the cut short and then hit a transition there. Just on the flat plane of everything here. Oh, this is going to be squeaky. And then try and keep this guy flat. I'm going to continue just working at it here. It's going to be a pretty laborious deal, but it'll be worth it in the end. So I'll continue work on this and bring it back once I've got it all cleaned up. Well, it's not perfect, but it sure looks a heck of a lot better than it did. We'll do a little more finish work with it then when the bow's done, but this at least gets the major mess cleaned up. All right, the repair of the repairs is pretty well complete at this point. You can see how we finished out here. This was that other side, so you can see it's kind of a jagged finish right there, and some of the epoxy is showing. This is actually the smoother of the two, and the nice thing about that epoxy is when you put a finish on it, it tends to disappear a little bit under a finish. And then the other side here was the super offensive side, and it seems to like have a smoother looking appearance, but there's just a bit of a step. You can feel it right there. Maybe in the finishing it'll come down to smooth, but it turned out well. And then this thing we'll just take out, but got a little bit of an issue with it not sticking right next to the string groove. This is not nearly as big a concern to me because we're going to take out a lot of this material anyway once the tip overlays go on. So the repair of the repairs is complete, and we can now move forward with this bow. Guys, thanks for joining me this week. I'm sorry to hit a speed bump like this, but we're going to get into it in earnest, and we're going to do that next week.